A lot of our viewers and a lot of students in Vietnam right now are just dying to study in Australia. So could you please give us some of the support that the government, Australian government, have available for international students looking to study in Australia during pandemic times?
So at the moment, any student who wants to work in the hospitality or the tourist industry can work uncapped hours. So you can still study full-time, but you now have the ability to work as many hours in the paid workforce as you want while you're studying. If you want to work in the hospitality industry, and there are many jobs in cafes and in restaurants and other hospitality venues for students who want to work. Now, normally in Australia, while you're studying full-time, you're only allowed to study, to work 20 hours a week in employment. But the good thing about when you work in Australian companies, even part-time work, is a very strong minimum wage that employers must pay you. And that minimum wage is about 25 Australian dollars per hour. The government is also, during the pandemic, for Vietnamese students who've been in Australia and can't get financial support, different state governments have been doing different ways of support. So in Sydney, the state government there provided an accommodation guarantee to make sure that students who were financially challenged for student accommodation could be looked after with free accommodation for some months. In my home state of Melbourne, Victoria, there was food vouchers made available. So for those students who are in difficult financial situation during COVID pandemic, different state governments and different universities have provided food, accommodation and other types of support. But now, as we come out of the COVID lockdowns, there is much more paid employment in Perth, in Brisbane, in Sydney, in Melbourne, in Adelaide, for students who want to work many hours, particularly in their holidays and on weekends while they study.
So one of the top concerns on students' minds right now is visa eligibility. Say if one is forced to go home because of COVID-19, would their visa still be eligible afterwards?
Yes, so at the moment they have to reapply for a new visa if too many months go by. But what the government are doing is they're seriously looking at a no-cost re-entry for Vietnamese students who want to come back to Australia to study. So if there's been a long gap between your study in Australia and being back home in Vietnam, then under normal rules you would have to pay for a new visa, but our Home Affairs Department are giving serious consideration to ensuring that there'll be no cost for a new visa.
Thank you, Phil, for the very insightful sharing about Australian government policy for international students. I'm sure we all feel more secure about studying in Australia now.